Chapter 5 of Book 2 of Physics by Aristotle, translated by Thomas Taylor. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Jeffrey Edwards. Chapter 5. In the first place, therefore, since we see that some things are always generated after the same manner, but others, for the most part, it is evident that neither fortune nor that which proceeds from fortune can be said to be the cause of either of these, either of that which is from necessity and always, or of that which is for the most part. But since there are certain things which are generated and have a subsistence besides these, and all men acknowledge that these originate from fortune, it is evident that fortune and chance are each of them a certain thing. For we know that things of this kind are from fortune, and that what originates from fortune is a thing of this kind. But of things which are generated, some are generated for the sake of something, but others not. And of these, some are produced from deliberate choice, and others not. But both these rank among things which are produced for the sake of something. Hence it is evident that both in things which neither subsist from necessity, nor for the most part, there are some in which a subsistence for the sake of something may take place. But such things subsist for the sake of something as are accomplished by the dianoetic power, and also such as are produced by nature. Things of this kind, however, when they are produced from accident, are said by us to subsist from fortune. For as, with respect to being, one kind has an essential, but another an accidental subsistence, the like also may take place with respect to cause. Thus, that which is capable of building is the essential cause of the house, but that which is white or musical from accident. Essential cause, therefore, is definite, but cause, according to accident, indefinite. For an infinite number of things may happen to one thing. As we have said, therefore, when this takes place in things which are produced for the sake of something, then they are said to be from chance and from fortune. We shall, however, afterward explain in what these differ from each other. But at present this will be evident, that both these rank among things which subsist for the sake of something. Thus, for instance, a man would have come for the sake of receiving silver, in order that he might take back with him money, if he had known that he could. He did not, however, come for the sake of this, but it happened that he came and did this for the sake of taking back the money, and this not in consequence of coming for the most part, or necessarily to that place. The end, however, i.e., the taking back the money, is not in the number of causes which are in the thing itself, but ranks among things which proceed from deliberate choice, and the dianoetic power, and then it is said to have proceeded from fortune. But if from previous choice, and for the sake of this, he had either always come, or for the most part, taking back with him the money, in this case his coming would not have been from fortune. It is evident, therefore, that fortune is a cause from accident in things which rarely happen, according to the deliberate choice of those things which subsist for the sake of something. Hence the dianoetic power and fortune are conversant with the same thing, for deliberate choice is not without the dianoetic power. It is necessary, therefore, that those causes should be indefinite from which that may be produced which is from fortune, whence fortune appears to belong to the indefinite, and to be immanifest to man. In a certain respect also it may seem that nothing is produced from fortune, for all these things are rightly because they are reasonably asserted. For in a certain respect a thing is produced from fortune, viz. From accident, and fortune is a cause as accident, but simply considered, it is not the cause of anything. Thus a builder is the cause of a house, but a piper from accident, and of a man coming into the forum and taking back with him money, when he did not come for this purpose, the causes are infinite in multitude. For the causes might be the wish to see, pursue, inspect, or avoid some one. It is rightly said, therefore, that fortune is something contrary to reason. For reason is either of things which always are, or of those which frequently subsist. But fortune belongs to things which are contrary to these. Hence, since things which are thus causes are indefinite, fortune also is indefinite. At the same time, however, some one may doubt whether anything casual can become the cause of fortune, as, for instance, whether wind or heat is the cause of health, and not the head having been shaved. For of causes according to accident, some are more proximate than others. But good fortune is then said to take place when something good, and bad fortune when something bad happens. Prosperous and adverse fortune, too, are then said to subsist when these are attended with magnitude. On this account, when we want but little of receiving a great evil or good, our fortune is then adverse or prosperous, because the dianoetic power asserts this as if it subsisted. For that which wants but little seems as if it wanted nothing. Besides, prosperous fortune is deservedly unstable, for fortune itself is unstable, since none of the things which proceed from it can either have a perpetual or a frequent subsistence. Chapter 6. Both fortune and chance, therefore, are, as has been said, causes according to accident, since they belong to things which can neither subsist simply nor frequently, and also to such as may be produced for the sake of something. They differ, however, because chance has a more extended subsistence. For that which is from fortune is also from chance, but not everything which is from chance is also from fortune. For fortune and that which proceeds from fortune are in those things in which prosperity of fortune, and in short, action, may subsist. Hence it is necessary that fortune should be conversant with things of a practical nature, of which this is a token, that prosperous fortune, eutuchia, appears to be either the same with or near to felicity, eudaimonia. But felicity is a certain action, for it is good action, eupraxia, so that such things as are incapable of acting cannot do anything from fortune. And on this account, neither anything inanimate, nor brute, nor infant can do anything from fortune, because they have not any deliberate choice. Nor does either prosperous or adverse fortune pertain to these, except according to similitude. For thus Protagoras said that the stones are fortunate from which altars are constructed, because they are honored, though others are trampled on of a kindred nature. To suffer also from fortune belongs in a certain respect to these things, when he who does anything pertaining to these does it from fortune; otherwise it does not belong to them. But chance belongs to other animals and to many inanimate things. Thus we say the horse came by chance, because when he came he was saved, though he did not come for the sake of being saved. We also say that the tripod fell by chance, for it stood for the sake of being sat on. It did not, however, fall for the sake of being sat upon. So that it is evident that in things which are simply produced for the sake of something, when they are not produced for the sake of that which happens, and the cause of which is external, then we say they are produced from chance. But of these, those things are from fortune which are produced from the chance pertaining to objects of deliberate choice, by those endued with deliberate choice. This may be inferred from the word matein, in vain, because a thing is then said to be done in vain when that is not effected for the sake of which it was done. But something else, as for instance walking, if it is for the sake of evacuation. But if this does not happen to him who walks, we say that he has walked in vain, and that his walking is vain, as if this word signified that which is naturally undertaken for the sake of something else, when it does not affect that for the sake of which it was undertaken, and for which it is naturally adapted. For if any one should say that he has washed in vain because the sun is not set, he would be ridiculous, since the former was not undertaken for the sake of the latter. Thus, therefore, chance, ta automaton, has a subsistence according to its name when a thing is done in vain. For a stone fell not for the sake of striking any one. It fell therefore by chance, because it might have fallen, being thrown by some one for the sake of striking. But that which subsists from fortune is especially separated from chance in things which are produced by nature. For when anything is made contrary to nature, we then do not say that it is made by fortune, but rather that it is produced from chance. This also is different, for the cause of that is external, but of this internal. And thus we have shown what chance, and also what fortune is, and in what they differ from each other. With respect, however, to what pertains to the mode of cause, each of these ranks among those causes whence the principle of motion is derived. For the cause of these always belongs to those things which are produced by nature, or by the dianoetic power, and the multitude of these is indefinite. But since chance and fortune are the causes of those things of which intellect or nature might be the cause, viz., when anything becomes from accident the cause of these very things, and nothing which subsists from accident is prior to things essential, it is evident that neither can cause which is from accident be prior to that which is essential. Chance and fortune, therefore, are posterior both to intellect and nature. Hence, if chance were in an eminent degree the cause of the heavens, it would nevertheless be necessary that intellect and nature should be a prior cause, as well of many other things as of this universe itself. Chapter 7. That there are causes, therefore, and that they are as many in number as we have said, is evident. For the inquiry why a thing is comprehends so many in number. For the question why a thing is either referred to essence, which is an extreme in things immovable, as in the mathematics, since the question here is ultimately referred to the definition of a right line, or of the commensurate, or something else, or it is referred to the first mover, as for instance, why did they fight? Because they have robbed. Or for the sake of what? That they might obtain dominion. Or cause is, in things which are generated, matter. That these are causes, therefore, and that they are so many, is evident. But since causes are four in number, to know them all is the business of the natural philosopher, who, also referring the cause why a thing is to all of them, viz., to matter, form, that which moves, and that for the sake of which a thing subsists, physically assigns a reason. Frequently, however, three of these causes pass into one. For the cause why a thing is, and that for the sake of which it is, are one. But that whence motion first originates is in species the same with these, for man generates man, and in short, such things as being moved, move. But such things as do not move, being moved, no longer pertain to physical inquiries, for they move not in consequence of containing in themselves motion, or the principle of motion, but as being immovable. Hence, there are three treatises, one concerning that which is immovable, another concerning that which is moved, indeed, but is incorruptible, and a third concerning corruptible natures, so that the cause why a thing is assigned by him who refers to matter, to essence, and to the first mover. For concerning generation, they especially consider causes after this manner. What is generated after what? And what a thing first did or suffered, and thus always in a consequent order. But there are two principles which are naturally motive, of which one is not physical, because it does not contain in itself the principle of motion. And if there is anything which moves without being moved, it is of this kind, as is that which is perfectly immovable, that which is the first of all things, together with essence and form. For it is the end, and that for the sake of which a thing subsists. So that since nature is for the sake of something, it is also necessary to know this cause. The cause, too, why a thing subsists, must be entirely assigned. For instance, it is necessary this thing should be produced from that, and this either simply or for the most part. It is also necessary to know if this particular thing will follow, as for instance the conclusion from the propositions. Also, that this is the essence of a thing, and because it is thus better, not simply, but with reference to the essence of each particular. Chapter 8. In the first place, then, we must assign the reason why nature ranks among the number of causes which subsist for the sake of something. And in the next place, we must show how necessity subsists in physical concerns, for all natural causes are referred to this cause. Thus, because that which is hot is naturally a thing of this kind, also that which is cold, and all such particulars, hence these things necessarily are, and are generated, and possess natural aptitudes. For though they assign another cause, yet as they merely mention it, they dismiss it. One of these, indeed, assigning as causes friendship and strife, but another intellect. But it is dubious what should hinder nature from operating for the sake of something, and because it is better so to operate, and not in the same manner as Jupiter reigns, not that the corn may be increased, but from necessity. For that which is elevated must necessarily be refrigerated, and that which is refrigerated, when it becomes water, must descend. But it happens that in consequence of this taking place, the corn is increased. In like manner, if the corn on the ground of any one is destroyed, it does not rain for the sake of this, that it may be destroyed, but this is an accidental circumstance. What then hinders but that the parts in nature may thus subsist? For instance, that the teeth should arise from necessity, those in front, indeed, sharp, and adapted to divide, but the grinders broad, and adapted to breaking the food in pieces. For it may be said that they were not made for the sake of this, but that it so happened. And in like manner with respect to the other parts of the body, to which a subsistence for the sake of something appears to belong. Where, therefore, all things happened as if they were made for the sake of something, these were preserved, being aptly composed from chance. But such things as were not thus made, these were lost and still perish, according to what Empedocles says concerning the bull species with human heads. This, therefore, and a similar reason, if there be any such, may lead some one to doubt on this subject. It is, however, impossible that these things should subsist after this manner. For these, and everything which is produced by nature, are either always, or for the most part, thus produced. But this is not the case with anything which is produced from fortune and chance. For neither does it appear to be from fortune or chance that it frequently rains in the winter. But if this should be the case when the sun is under the dog star, it might be said to be the effect of these two. Nor when there is heat under the dog star is it a casual event, but when this is the case in winter. If, therefore, these things appear to be either from chance or for the sake of something, and if it is not possible that they can be from chance, they must be for the sake of something. All such things, however, subsist from nature, as is even acknowledged by those who make these assertions. There is, therefore, a subsistence for the sake of something in things which are produced by and exist from nature. Again, in things in which there is a certain end, That which is prior and that which has a consequent subsistence are affected for the sake of this end. As therefore it is affected, so is it naturally adapted to be affected, and according to the natural aptitude of anything, such also, unless there is some impediment, is it affected. But it is affected for the sake of something, and hence it is naturally adapted to be affected for the sake of this. For instance, if a house ranked in the class of things which are produced by nature, it would be produced by nature in such a manner as it is now by art. But if things which are the offspring of nature were not only produced by nature, but also by art, they would in a similar manner be produced according to their natural aptitude. The one, therefore, would be for the sake of the other, and in short, art partly perfects what nature is incapable of bringing to perfection, and partly imitates nature. If, therefore, things artificial are produced for the sake of something, it is evident that this is also the case with things which have a natural subsistence. For things posterior with respect to prior are similarly affected towards each other, both in artificial and natural productions. This, however, is especially manifest in other animals, whose productions are neither the effect of art, nor investigation, nor consultation. Hence it is doubted by some whether spiders and ants and animals of this kind operate from intellect or something else. But to him who thus gradually proceeds, even in plants things which contribute to the end will be apparent, as for instance leaves are produced for the sake of covering the fruit. Hence, if the swallow forms her nest, and the spider her web, naturally, and for the sake of something, and if plants produce leaves for the sake of the fruit, and the roots do not tend upward but downward, for the sake of nutriment, it is evident that a cause of this kind belongs to the class of things which are produced by and subsist from nature. Since also nature is twofold, one kind being as matter, but another as form, which last is an end, and the rest are for the sake of the end. This will be a cause for the sake of which natural productions subsist. Error also takes place in things artificial, for a grammarian has written incorrectly, and a physician has improperly administered the medicine, so that it is evident that this also happens in natural productions. If, therefore, there are certain artificial things in which rectitude subsists for the sake of something, but in things erroneous art is attempted for the sake of something, but deviates from the end, the like also takes place in the productions of nature, so that monsters will be the errors of that which operates for the sake of something. In the first constitution of things, therefore, the bull species with human heads, if there were such animals, must have been produced from the corruption of a certain principle, as things are now produced from the corruption of seed. Further still, it is necessary that seed should have been first produced, and not immediately animals, and that soft mass which first subsisted was seed. In plants also there is that which subsists for the sake of something, but it is less distinct. Whether therefore or not, as there were the bull species with human heads, so also in plants there were the vine species with the anterior part resembling olives. This indeed is absurd, yet it would be necessary, since it also happened in animals. Again, it would be necessary that there should be a casual generation in the seeds of things, and in short, he who asserts this subverts both that which subsists from nature and nature itself. For those things subsist from nature, which, being continually moved from a certain principle contained in themselves, arrive at a certain end. From each principle, however, neither the same thing is produced in each individual, nor that which is casual, but it always arrives at the same end unless something impedes. But that for the sake of which, and that which is for the sake of this, may subsist from fortune. Thus we say that a stranger came fortuitously, and having redeemed a certain person departed, when he so acted as if he came for the sake of this, and yet did not come on this account. And when when he did this from accident. For fortune belongs to causes which subsist according to accident, as we have before said. But when this happens, either always, or for the most part, then it is neither from accident nor fortune. In natural productions, however, it is always so, unless something impedes. It is also absurd to fancy that things are not produced for the sake of anything, unless that which moves is seen to have deliberated, though art also does not deliberate. For if the shipbuilding art were in the timber, it would make similar to nature. So that if there is a subsistence for the sake of something in art, there will also be this in nature. But this is especially evident when any one heals himself, for to this man nature is similar. That nature, therefore, is a cause, and in such a manner as to operate for the sake of something, is evident. Chapter 9. With respect to necessity, however, whether does it subsist from hypothesis or simply? For now they fancy that a subsistence from necessity is in generation, just as if some one should think that an edifice was raised from necessity, because heavy things are naturally carried downward, and light things upward, and that on this account the stones and foundation of the building are beneath, but the earth above on account of its levity, and the wood especially in the highest place because it is most light. At the same time, however, the building is not made without these, and yet not through these, except as through matter, but it is made for the sake of concealing and preserving certain things. The like also takes place in everything else in which there is a subsistence for the sake of something. For they are not indeed without these, which have a necessary nature, and yet they are not through or on account of these, except as matter. But they are for the sake of something. Thus, for instance, why is the saw such an instrument as it is? That it may be this thing, and for the sake of this thing. But this subsistence for the sake of something could not be effected unless it were made of iron. It is necessary, therefore, that it should be made of iron, if it is to be a saw, and the work of it is to have a subsistence. Hence the necessary is from hypothesis, and not as the end. For necessity is in matter, but a subsistence for the sake of something in reason. But after a certain manner, the necessary is similarly in the mathematical disciplines, and in things which are produced according to nature. For since this particular thing is rectilinear, i.e., a triangle, it is necessary that a triangle should have angles equal to 2 right. But it does not follow that because it has angles equal to 2 right, it is a triangle, though without the possession of this equality of angles, it is not a triangle. The contrary, however, takes place in things which are produced for the sake of something. For if the end will be or is, that also which antecedes will be or is. But if not, as there, when the conclusion is not, the principle will not be, so here likewise the end, and a subsistence for the sake of something will not be, for this is a principle not of action, but of reasoning. There, however, it is the principle of reasoning, for they are not actions. Hence, if the house will be, it is necessary that these things should be made, or subsist, or be, or in short, that matter itself should subsist for the sake of something, as, for instance, stones and tiles, if the house is to be. Yet the end is not on account of these things, except as matter. And in short, unless these exist, neither the house nor the saw will have a subsistence, not the former unless there are stones, nor the latter unless there is iron. For neither in the above-mentioned instance are there principles, unless a triangle has angles equal to 2 right. It is evident, therefore, that the necessity which is in natural things is that which is denominated as matter, and the motions of this. And both causes indeed are to be considered by the natural philosopher, but in a greater degree that for the sake of which a thing subsists. For this is the cause of matter, but matter is not the cause of the end. The end also, that for the sake of which and the principle are assumed from definition and reason. Thus, in things artificial, since a house is a thing of a certain description, it is requisite that these particulars should be produced and subsist from necessity. And since health is this particular thing, it is necessary that these things should be generated and exist. Thus, too, if man is this particular thing, these particulars must exist. And if the latter is, the former also must have a subsistence. Perhaps also there is the necessary indefinition. For the work of the saw, by him who defines it, will be said to be a certain division, but this will not be unless it has teeth of a certain description, and it will not have these unless it be made of iron. For in definition there are certain parts, which are as it were the matter of the definition. End of Book 2. Recording in memory of Mitchell Edwards.